How to add your Google Calendar to Apple's iCalendar and vice versa. If you switch between Google Calendar and Apple's iCalendar, you'll be glad to know you can share data between each service. Jack Wallen shows you how. I primarily work within Google Calendar from a Linux desktop. However, there are also times when I'm working from a MacBook Pro and prefer to use the default applications. What that means is I need to integrate Google Calendar into the default iCalendar app on macOS. At the same time, I like to see my iCalendar events in Google Calendar. Oh, what a tangled web I weave. How do I pull this off? It's actually not terribly challenging. Let me show you. To make this work, you'll need a Google account, the macOS device with iCalendar, and your login credentials for iCloud. With all of that together, let's make some calendar magic. Adding Google Calendar to iCalendar of the two processes, this is the easiest, because the functionality is built right into macOS. I'm demonstrating with Monterey. 1. Click the Apple menu in the upper right corner of your display. 2. Then select System Preferences. 4. From the right paint figure to click Google. 5. You will then be prompted to OK the opening of your default web browser. 6. Click Open Browser, and Safari if it's your default will open to the Google Account Authentication Wizard figure 3. 7. Once you've added the account, you can then configure which elements are added from Mail, Calendar, Contacts, and Notes, figure 4. Make sure Calendar is enabled and the next time you open iCalendar your events from Google Calendar will populate. This configuration gives you read/write access to Google Calendar from iCalendar. Adding iCalendar to Google Calendar. There are two caveats to adding the calendar from Apple's iCalendar to Google Calendar. The first is the iCalendar to be added must be made public. Second, it's read-only access so you can add events to iCalendar from Google Calendar. The easiest way of doing this is to log into iCloud and then go to the Calendar section. You should see all of your calendars listed in the left sidebar figure 5. 2. Click the icon at the right edge of the calendar you want to add to Google Calendar. 3. Then, from the pop-up figure 6 click the check box for Public Calendar. 4. The web address will appear. Click Copy Link and click OK. 5. Go to your Google Calendar and locate other calendars. 6. Click the plus button associated with that. 7. Then, from the drop-down, click from URL figure 7. 8. In the resulting window figure 8 paste the web address in the URL of the calendar field and click Add Calendar. You now have to play a waiting game, as it might take up to 12 hours for the population of events to complete. Eventually, however, you'll see all of the events from that shared calendar within Google. By adding these calendars to one another, I can be certain I always have access to my events, no matter if they're on Google Calendar or Apple's iCalendar.